Hi and welcome to MDriven. I've done a lot of talks about software development and these concepts that we use all the time when we describe what software is: fashion, the gist and modernity. So this is my latest incarnation of that talk. So what is the different parts? Well, fashion is what the designer focus on, and the coder or developer focuses on the modernity, which is basically the coding language, the paradigms that we choose to build our system upon. It could be servers, technologies, and strategies. The gist of the system is what the software, or rather the information architect, focuses on. It's all the business rules and the entities that exist in the business that the system is supposed to support. And all these three different personas are really important, because without designers we can't attract any users, and without information architect we will have no purpose. It will be nothing special with our system compared to any other system. And the coders, without those, well, nothing will work. Then we introduce time, and time is a killer. Everyone knows this. It's a common accepted fact. And what happens over time? Well, fashion switches, of course. Trends come and go. When it comes to the gist, the knowledge which the gist represents, well, it grows. It grows relentlessly. We always learn more, and we need more and more and more. On the modernity side, the tech stacks and languages and strategies, we now and then change paradigm. Like when everyone should be on the web some 10 or 15 years ago. That was a big paradigm shift. And now a lot of coders and developers talk about microservices, etc. So that's another type of paradigm. The thing is that time never stops if you're successful, and that means that the gist will grow and grow and grow. This is a good thing, of course. Everyone wants to learn more. Knowledge is a very light burden to bear. The thing is that if you're not successful, then time sort of stops and restarts. So you have to, possibly you lose a lot of your knowledge within the area. And this is particularly true if you have followed all the current guidelines on how to produce systems in software. When something is radically changed, so you need to do a rewrite, you are likely to lose a lot of the detailed knowledge that you have put into the gist in the system. As the common accepted consensus is in the business, we more or less treat everything as it was the same. So fashion is some kind of code, and maybe we use CSS and HTML a bit more there, but we're no strangers to using JavaScript and high-level languages to produce whatever we need for the fashion. And the gist, all the business rules, all that goes into code, and we spend a lot of time to have coders produce these things that we then spend an equally amount of time, or maybe even more, to test to get quality, and then goes round and round. When it comes to the modernity, and why I do such a sharp line between modernity and the gist is that the modernity is what's needed for the infrastructure of the system to work. So that's everything to handle objects with information that has attributes and associations that connect to each other and build up the nomenclature and the language of your business and the problem that you need to describe and solve. The modernity layer is everything that's generic in this, like wrapping your objects with into a relational database, if that is our choice, like SQL Server or MySQL to keep your information nice and tidy when the system isn't running, being able to back up it and things like that. So there's a lot of things that goes into modernity that's actually equal for all systems out there. But since we mix it with a gist, that's not often easy to see or to take advantage of. So what happens when you mix it like this is that many feel that they lose momentum in knowledge when the modernity changes every 5 years or so. So if you need to rewrite everything, it's easy to, you need to ask the business again. Well, what are the requirements? What are the new requirements? It was 5 years since we last talked. Now we need to talk again because actually all of the old crap is unusable. That's normally how the story goes. But what we want to do is to keep these 3 distinct artifacts of software separate. So, and we offer you with MDriven to rent this modernity layer from us. So, and our promise is to keep you modern. What we mean by that is that the latest trend and what everyone wants to run on and have their systems written in, we promise to deliver a technology stack that supports just that. And a technology stack that you rent from us, of course, is compatible with the gist that you produce with MDriven Designer or MDriven Framework. So with MDriven you declare instead of code. So it's sort of tech agnostic. It's based on standards that has been with us forever. And it's easy to read. And some call it no code. And I think that's a fair description of it. It's logic, but it's not the traditional imperative code that you see that we build the modernity platform with. And when it comes to the fashion, we argue that fashion is much easier when the rest of the things are standardized like they are with MDriven. So, what we have seen is that artists like predictability and standards as long as it does not affect the art. And that's a real important separation to keep. Fashion is fashion, and we shouldn't think that we could just ignore it, because without it we won't attract anyone, and then the system is worthless. So over the years MDriven has produced many modernity stacks, and we will produce many more. Of that we can be pretty sure. So what we do is make fashion easier to apply, and we make all your gist the first class citizen of the system that isn't codified. And what I mean with not codified is that it's really easy accessible. It's more like documentation than code. Every developer argues that it's easy to read and write code, but if you actually scrutinize them and see what they say in real life, you will see that they think it's really easy to write code, but they don't like to read code. And you can hear this by them swearing over other developers, and also swearing over themselves, over their old code that they have written 5 years ago. And I'm no different. I'm a coder at heart, but what we have done is shifted so that we do much more modeling and catching the gist in a high-level description. So what we do with MDriven is reduce your modernity headaches. We produce the same software servers for everyone that uses MDriven, and then you can simply rent it. So MDriven is knowledge and change centric. That's what we focus on. We know that the gist will grow over time, and that's where you should be able to really shine. And in order to shine, you need to understand everything that you have done so far so that you can build on it. And the gist is the perfect format for this, much better than traditional code. And as we discussed, MDriven is future-proofed since we simply swap the modernity against another technology stack once it's time. But more or less, MDriven changes nothing. It's just an ordinary software system if you look at it from above. You can't really say that it's built with MDriven or not. Well, except the time to produce it is much lower, and the price is much lower, and the quality is much higher. And of course, your insights into your own system is much more available to you. So please check us out at mdriven.net and maybe get the book on Amazon. So thank you very much for listening.